Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Finally got this thing adjusted. Anyway, just wanted to share a little something with you guys about Yumeko. I know you guys have. I know I put a few videos up about that. Basically, little slideshow pictures of like certain how certain characters will look. Most of those pictures, by the way, those pictures that are in those videos, it's a thing on my phone I got called Face App. And I sort of used it to alter certain pictures of different people that I kind of envision as some of the characters for the series that I got in mind so far, through different ways. So that's pretty much what you're seeing on those. As for the series itself, well, what I got so far is the little rough writing the rough draft in this in the old school notebook, by the way. Normally I do my rough drafts on the computer, like I've done in the past for both when I read like when I not read but when I did when I used to would write novel books, and then after getting Photoshop went to comics and wrote rough drafts for them. Duly note, the first few comics that I wrote, the first three issues of Star Striker, I did not do a rough draft for. Every one of them panels was done as they were. There was no rough draft. But I didn't start doing a rough draft for comic books until issue 4. Yeah. So, and I think it's explained in the live stream. Be sure to check that out. So anyway, one reason I'm doing rough draft in here for Yumeko, basically that way I can, be able to do other stuff, kind of back and forth while I'm at it. So, anywho, what I got so far for issue 1 of Imagination to Reality, that's going to be the title for issue 1 of Yumeko. Basically starts off where you and no, there's no pictures, so not yet. So basically starts off as an army of block soldiers marching into the city. The civilians, they're panicking and everything. And then there's a fire. Then the fire truck approaches, shooting the block soldiers with water pressure strong enough to break them apart. Civilians cheer as we're greeted by Brownie, who steps out of the fire truck. But then the block soldiers' leader enters, and he's like, "Nice try, Brownie. You won't defeat us that easily." And the block soldiers reassemble, but as they start to come together, Brownie blinds them with some extremely bright light. And since they're blind and don't see, they end up going into this cube shape, and they're stuck like that because Brownie actually blasted them earlier with some some super glue mixed in the water. So that was how Brownie defeats the block soldier. And it turns out this is a story being told by Hikoji Makuro, Hiko for short. You probably know him from the Brown Chronicles comic that I read in the live stream as well. So it's pretty much like a reboot of that. I guess maybe not so much of a reboot because there was only 2 issues of Brown Chronicles. Guess you could say that was kind of a trial of of a particular direction, which did not go so. Which after the second issue, story wise, did not seem like it was going to carry on very well. So we got this going. So apparently Hiko is telling his friends at school about Brownie, which is Naomi, Ricky, and these twin sisters, Angela and Monet, who you might remember from the Star Striker comics, and Naomi was from the Brown Chronicles comic series. Yep. So we're bringing those characters back. Naomi, just like in the Brown Chronicles, is still autistic. And Angela Monet, the big difference with them is they're twin sisters, whereas in Star Striker they were best friends. This was because the when I was writing the Star Striker series, I did not start off with Monet in mind. It was Angela, and pretty much her, and being Star Striker had a big crush on her and everything, which he still doesn't here. However, when my friend Angela, the one who Angela is based off of, God rest her soul, um, she actually liked the first issue and was, I think, halfway through the third half when I was writing the third one, she suggested that I add another character that would be one of Angela's best friends and would want to team up with Star Striker as another superhero. And that's where Monet came from, aka Diva Slay. So that was how that came into play. However, when I drew, when we was trying to discuss like how Monet would look and everything, it came down to her looking sort of similar to Angela, but having a few different features like, freckles, and she didn't wear glasses like Angela. Um, and when I showed it to Angela, she was actually okay with that. She okay with that design. But looking back on them, being that they look so much alike, it's like they really could have went off as twin sisters, because I know that there are some people that look alike in real life, because trust me, I got some doubles myself that aren't even related to me. Uh, I work over at Kroger, and apparently customers say that I got a twin brother over at Home Depot and another twin over at Office Depot. Okay, I have yet to meet these twins that I had no idea I had. Okay, I know that does exist, but yeah, I figured they should be twin sisters because this could act and this actually can work in here. Being that this is a brand new series. So what we have here, so he goes telling them all about about this particular story of Brownie. He's also told them about other stories of Brownie. Um, and it seems like Monet has an interest in Hiko. Um, has an interest in Hiko, whereas Hiko seems to have an interest in Angela. So he's sort of in a dilemma. He doesn't, and he, unlike Samuel, aka Star Striker, who probably would come right out and tell like, "Hey, I like you. What's up?" Because Samuel is kind of straightforward. Hiko, is kind of a little nervous about this kind of thing, and so after his day of school, he's at home thinking, like, what is he gonna do, I kind of have a crush on Angela, but it seemed like Monet liked me, and I don't want the two of them to get in a fight over me or nothing. Then, not to mention, he kind of has a little bit of a crush on another girl, Yuki. Yuki. What was it? Oh yeah. Let's see. Well, I think I put it. Okay, I'm just making sure I hit this spell right. Yuki Utoto. Yep, Yuki Utoto. Yeah, I got it. So, who is also known as the Sword Girl. Bear with me. Who's also the Sword Girl. And even has an action figure of her. In this story, the Sword Girl is a girl named Yuki at first, and she has her own movie and everything. And so so this is sort of a celebrity crush for Hiko. He's never actually met her in person, and it sort of references when I was a kid. When I was a kid, and I saw the movie Matilda for the first time, I had a crush on Mara Wilson, but I did not know her as Mara Wilson, or if that was her name. I only knew her as her character Matilda, so in my mind, I had a crush on Matilda at that point. Oh yes, so that's kind of referencing that, and as with Yuki Utato, who is the sword girl, there's gonna be some a reveal about her. If any of y'all have seen the Brown Chronicles, when I read the Brown Chronicles in the live stream of the new heroic story time, be sure to check out that playlist. You'll know that that sword girl was originally Julie Yukushi. I think it's mentioned in there. It's also, which this is on my other channel, my Gabriel Johnson channel. It should be unblocked. Well, not unblocked, but it should be that copyright strike should be lifted on there. It's still active. I just wasn't able to do live streams for a while. That's why I switched over to this. But in one of the live streams of that, where I was reading the Heroes of Dreams series, he's talked a lot about Julie Yukushi, aka Sword Girl. So how this new girl Yuki relates with that is to come in the series. Yep, it's it's gonna come later in the series how that happens there. So anyway, Hiko's kind of having a hard time on this decision of his crushes and everything. So he decides he's gonna go and as he says here, he'll go have an adventure to help clear his head, which results in him going to play his video game called Magic Journey. Magic Journey, where apparently the character Yuki, aka Sword Girl, is in this game, talking with him. And it ends up, and he's imagining himself in the game as well, but it ends up leading to where it might possibly be more than him imagining himself in the game. Where, yeah, he ends up possibly actually in the game for real. One sign of that, he goes to his Granny Big Papa's house, and nobody's there. And all of a sudden, he hears somebody coming. He ducks in the guest room and sees this hooded figure walk by and then walk by again. And is wondering, who is this? Next thing you know, the hooded figure jumps up in front of him like, gotcha! Sort of a reference to that nightmare I had of Mr. Peanut when I was like 3 years old. And when he said, gotcha! Except the hooded girl doesn't dance all over the room like Mr. Peanut did. Instead, she sends Hiko into a portal, which leads him to Hajimari Island, which is the beginning of the Magic Journey video game. And he's supposed to talk with the chief there, who originally is Chief Haji. But instead, he ends up talking with Yugioh, Yugioh is actually the game avatar that you actually would play as in Magic Journey, but for some reason, Yugioh is the chief here all of a sudden. So, got that. Meanwhile, back in the real world, outside of while he goes in this game, we get over at Angela and Monet's house where Samuel and Sheila arrives. A new version of them. Samuel comes, and one thing a little slightly different from the Star Trek comics. We already into him trying to flirt with Angela right directly. Because see, at the beginning of the Star Trek series, he sort of was like, ooh, she's pretty, and was sort of, just looking at her. And it wasn't until issue 4 when he actually came up. What happened? Her and Monet came over to Brian's house, and he saw how pretty Angela's hair was, and went to kissing her hand. And Angela was like, However, it's a little different here. Okay, so Samuel's already greeting Angela with chocolate and flowers. However, Angela is not particularly interested in him like that from the start. And this was actually because when I look back at my Star Trek books, I noticed her reaction to 2 other boys, Bruno and Davis, who were blushing around her as well. And she had this comment Typical boys. Yeah. And then all of a sudden later, she's all, hey, Star Striker. Which, of course, because he saves her, but I kind of thought about that. I should have wrote that a little differently. Because I felt like, maybe, and that's what I'm going to do in here, there should be more it should be more into Angela being a little resistant toward the whole, especially as you'll see in this story, with Samuel trying to flirt with her immediately, but she's gonna be like, okay, Samuel, say Samuel, not into you like that. But eventually, yeah, as the story goes on, it starts to change a little bit. Good example, any of y'all that seen Jamie Foxx show? You remember how Jamie always was hitting on Fancy Pants? Hey, Fancy. And, for 2 seasons, Fancy was kind of on and off with him. And then the 3rd season, she had that boyfriend, Silas, who, well, what resulted with him at the end of season 3. And finally, season 4 starts off, her and Jamie are finally a thing. So, leading into season 5, where they kind of started to have some little relationship problems. But then eventually, as it got repaired, the show ended with them getting married. So, that's kind of what I was thinking with Samuel and Angela. It's more kind of like the Jamie Fancy scenario where, Fancy kind of, how Fancy played hard to get. Angela should kind of be like that. And, eventually grow into where she actually does start liking up Samuel on her own. Yeah. So, sort of a little something different. So, anyway, so there's that. And I think that's pretty much what I've got so far. What I've got up to so far is where there's a line from Samuel that sort of hints about Star Striker to the audience, where Sheila is like, I don't think Angela's really interested in you, but Samuel's like, patience, she'll be in love with me soon. Her heart will be starstruck in romance. Oh, she'll be struck in something, all right. Yep, and then and it results. The last thing that also happens with that, Monet wants to go over to Hiko's house. They're all pretty much neighbors, by the way. She wants to go over to Hiko's house to suggest something for one of his stories. So it's gonna result with her, Angela, and Samuel, and Naomi, because Naomi's over there too. All go over to Hiko's house, and they're gonna realize that something is not right over here, and it has to do with the video game. Apparently some things have happened as a result of it. So that's pretty much as far as I got there. They're all gonna end pretty much all gonna end up a lot of things that's going to happen in this series are going to be the result of a mix between this Magic Journey game, which is actually based off of a very old Nintendo game. I don't know how many people know about it, but Star Tropics and Star Tropics 2, and also a little bit of Final Fantasy, as well as a few other games like this computer game I once had called Spooky Castle. I think a few others that I can think of, and also a mix of short stories that I've written over the years, quite a bit of them, and short stories, certain dreams that I remember, and other little things that I also remember that's happened in my life in general. So it's a mix of a lot of things for the Yumeko series with these that these characters are going to be going through. So definitely, I'm gonna be working some more of that. And don't worry, we still got the season 1 finale reaction for Brownie. We still gonna have that. It's probably not gonna. It's because we still got. I think we're like one scene away from the final. From the final climax of the script. That's what. Because I thought we was in the finale, but we're actually one scene away from it. That's what I got from Claire last time I just talked with her. As we were getting more of it together. Then also you also got to put in the brownies parts, because most of what we're putting in now is like stuff that's going on with the VKs and stuff like that. And give them a chance, Bob Shaw. Give them a chance. Anywho, he ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna do it. Anyway, little joke there. So yeah, there's gonna be that. It's probably gonna be out I'm hoping that it will be out at least no later than June. No later than June, we should have the season 1 finale, so that shortly after that we can start off season 2, because we guess season 2 of Brownie Reactions there, as well as also what we got, as well as also a few other things we got planned. So we got that, and also Bubblina issue 4 should also be out no later than this summer, because I want to work on another comic illustrating it, Dora, issue number 2 with Lanisa, if she's on board, if she's on board with it, like I say, because issue 1 kind of ended on a cliffhanger with the Dora comic. That's also in the Heroic live stream on the channel. I read the first issue of it along with Bubblina 3. So if Lanisa is, up for it this summer when she gets out of school and everything, well, pretty much see what she has in mind for issue number 2, so I can illustrate it and get her next, and she'll have her next book out. So yep, that's what's coming up. And any more information come, we will definitely keep you updated. So